Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, and today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at Bitcoin. I'd like to focus on the longer time frames, but before we get started, I'd like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Alright, so we're going to get started here on the weekly chart, and right now we're looking at the Coinbase chart, and I just want to start from the absolute basics and go from there and just see how this develops, and that way we can get a non-biased overview on the market direction and what we can expect. So, clearly, looking back at this, we came in, parabolic bull run, put in a high, sold off, consolidated, and then got what we refer to as a capitulation. And then from there, we were able to find support at a higher low. And that was like the first time we really were able to do something like that. Now we came down here a couple times and essentially came close to that and sort of formed like this wedge or this triangle. But it was never a convincingly higher low, and the highs were always lower than the lows were higher, if that makes sense. So we were getting a stronger pull down but less on the bottom. So something was holding up the price basically as we sold off, and then finally there was just no more bounce left, so we capitulated. And then again we did the opposite. We started forming like this resistance roof here, and that was essentially every time we would get up to it would sell back off, and then finally we got up to it and the exact opposite happened. Now we formed the triangle, we got pinched in the other direction, and then we broke out, consolidated, and got another bull run. Now on this bull run, or this whatever you want to call it, rally, we got a lower high on the macro. And we got a lower high, but then we came down and we put in a higher low so far. But the problem is, this is technically a low, and that's technically a lower low in this. But if you're looking at the macro, when we came down here and we put in this low here, we came up. We're looking for a substantial swing. So in order for us to get a swing like that, essentially we need to like take out that previous breakdown point to call it a new swing high. So when we came down, or a swing low. So when we came down here and sold off, we couldn't technically call this the swing low until we took out the previous breakdown point. So whatever you're fibbing off, whether it was this, that was a crucial point in the market, and then we broke through it, came back, and we back tested that break. So now what do we got going on here? We put in that low, start coming up. Now this is a clear, here you can't tell as much where the swing or where the breakdown point is, because you could go from this, you could go from this, you could go from this, you could go from the actual breakdown point. But here it's very clear that previous swing high was right here. Or that previous, swing high off of that, which was a lower high off of this. But it's very clear. So if you're fibbing from right here. See, the problem is I'm seeing a lot of similarity between this area right here and this area right here. But the thing that really sketches me out is this spot right here, because I remember the market sentiment this time, and we had been selling off, and we had this strong resistance, like downsloping, descending resistance line that was pushing the price down. And when we finally broke through that, we got this big move. And at the time, percentage-wise, that was a nice move. But when it popped up here, everybody thought that was it because we had taken that out. And then we basically sold off, and you were trapped in that position. And then capitulation, I mean, people got wrecked through there. And that is what this feels like to me. We had a clear descending downward trend line, and once we broke through that, the market got super bullish, sentiment changed, everybody said this was it, and now it's like the same thing all over again. But the most important thing was we never actually took out that previous swing, that clear previous swing right there. And that's exactly where we're at right now, that clear previous swing. And now I want to pull up the moving averages here because I want to look at it again and compare it. And you'll see, first we had the parabolic SAR selling off forever. We took that out 4 weeks. Now this is our 4th week. We took that out 4 weeks of green. This is our 4th week, but we haven't really been selling off in the same way. See, the 4th week green there, we sold off, but we came down to it and took it out. So we are seeing something a little different here. We got rejected by the 55 on the weekly. We're above the 55 on the weekly right now. I mean, we're above everything on the weekly on Coinbase. All the moving averages. That's big to me. I mean, we closed, we opened, we closed. That really is a big deal to me. Being on top of all the moving averages on the weekly is definitely solid. Let's go look at the daily now. I mean, realistically, the only thing stopping us right now is this 200 on the daily. We're very close to getting a golden cross between the green 50 and the blue 200. We're not nearly as close on the simples, the 55 and the 200 simple. But we do have a downward slope on this simple. And you'll see here, we came up and broke through it the first time here. Came back down under it, came up, and we had a positive slope at this point in time. Still on the 200, and we got rejected from it. But we don't have the positive slope anymore. We have the negative slope. So we're more like this area here. So again, that's a lot of confluence there. We're basically right here in this area, just sold off, just like basically. See, we never got any kind of bounce though that was like substantial on even a daily. We sold off to the 200 and got the bounce, and then it just was straight dumpy dump. Oh man, and we did the exact same thing. We sold off to the 200, got the bounce. So what I would expect at this point in time, yeah, I mean that's it. We came up, got rejected by the 200. We literally came down, bounced, almost made it back up, and then got rejected again, and then sold off. And that's exactly what's happening right now. We got the bounce off the 200, came up. Let me see, it's got to be as soon as we lose the 10 and the 21. I'm sure. I mean, we lost the 10. We lost the 200 and the 10 at the same time. Came down to the 21. So that's really what it comes down to. I mean, if we start losing the 10 on the daily, you know, which we're at the 10 now, if we lose that 10 on the daily and come back down here, that's going to look real bad real fast. I mean, 8,400 is going to look like a support zone if we get any kind of bounce off of it. But, you know, you could say that that already happened. So at this point in time, is it likely that we're going to come back up here and test this again? You can't really tell, honestly. Can't really tell. Let's check out the indicators here. So we have on the daily, strong slope on the purple and the blue.